Hey everybody, welcome to my Call of Duty Advanced Warfare hands-on preview. So basically we're going to talk about the event that Activision had last week for about, I think it was 100 journalists. They flew us out to San Francisco to basically show off the multiplayer and announce the features and give us some hands-on time prior to its official unveiling at Gamescom uh, tomorrow, I believe. So basically developers talked about a lot of new features that we haven't seen in past games. And I think, with last year's Call of Duty Ghosts, it was probably the least well-received title in the franchise, and I think sales were a little less than its predecessor, which was Black Ops 2. The game received a lot of criticism for not being significantly different from past iterations of the series, and led many to speculate that the Call of Duty series was in drastic need of a change. And I think personally, it was probably my least favorite game of the series. That's not to say it wasn't a good game. It just was probably I probably enjoyed Black Ops 2 a lot more. So basically, for those who don't know, Advanced Warfare is set about 40 years into the future. So naturally, the biggest difference between Ghosts and Advanced Warfare are the weapons and technology systems. Um, during Activision's presentation at the event, there was basically three things that they repeated over and over again. That was the exoskeleton suit, customization, and verticality. The exoskeleton suit, or the exosuit as it's best known as, is basically like an Iron Man suit, which the U.S. military is actually developing. The suit gives you the ability to boost, jump, hover, cloak, deflect bullets and grenades, and use a rappel to attach to surfaces. I didn't get a chance to use a rappel during our hands-on time, but I think in one of the trailers it looked like a rappel they were showing. And I think also what you can do with the suit is actually destroy incoming grenades that are coming at you, so they don't actually hurt you. So basically, each of these attributes has an exo battery, so you can only carry out these abilities for a short period of time. If you've ever played the Crisis series, the suit sort of feels similar in some respects to that, with the cloaking ability as well as the shields. During my hands-on time with the game, which was about an hour to an hour and a half, I messed around quite a bit with the new exosuit. The most notable change you're going to immediately see is the boost jumps. So basically, you activate the boost jumps by hitting the. We were playing on the Xbox One, so it was from hitting the A button twice. It's kind of like a double jump, and which basically adds a new vertical element you've never seen before in Call of Duty. So the firefights change completely. You'll see a lot of firefights that now occur when you're airborne shooting down on enemies beneath you, or you may be taking fire from enemies who see you jump across the map. So the levels have also been redesigned to basically around boost jumps. So there's a lot more vertical platforms, and in previous games, if you wanted to reach a high spot, you had to either find a set of stairs or climb your way to the top. So of course, this is no longer a problem, as the boost jump gives you a ridiculous amount of air. The boost jump also gives you an interesting new melee attack called the slam melee, which allows you to basically land on enemies. And then during my hands-on time, I also found I played around with the exosuit abilities. So the ability that I played around with a lot was a ballistic shield. So basically allows you to temporarily deflect enemy bullets. The shield worked pretty good for my playstyle. I'm a little more cautious when I play than I am aggressive. So I noticed that also during my hands-on time that the exosuit also gives you the ability to boost dodge. So you can actually jerk left or right or even backwards, whether you're coming out of cover or whether you're just dodging enemy fire. And you can move a lot quicker than you could in previous games. And you can basically activate that boost just by using I think it was the right thumbsticks from what I remember during gameplay. And also the weapon customization, the developers spent a lot of time on talking about during the presentation. It feels pretty similar to Black Ops 2's Pick 10 system, so it's almost identical, except now it's basically Pick 13. So all that Pick 13 includes is your weapon attachments, your perks, your score streaks, kill streak rewards, exo suit abilities. So there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of combinations that you can put together. So for those who love experimenting with different loadouts, one really interesting feature we actually got to play was the new virtual shooting range. So that basically occurs between matches when you're waiting in the lobby. You can actually just, by the press of a button, go into a virtual shooting range, which takes no load time at all, and you can go shoot targets and see how your guns handle. And I spend quite a bit of time at the shooting range just because it's something productive to do between matches, and it was really a nice addition that they've added to Advanced Warfare. Another thing that's back is score streaks are back, and now they're fully customizable. So in the past, where maybe you'd get like a turret or a sentry turret for getting 500 points, now what you can do is you can actually customize that sentry turret. So you can basically take the sentry turret, which maybe costs 500 points, but you could outfit it with a missile launcher. So maybe that'll take 600 points, and then you could add another thing to it where you could actually just rip the gun off the turret and then just run around the map mowing down enemies for an additional 200 points. So the way these score streaks work is that they don't actually count towards your Pick 13 system. They simply just force you to earn a higher score to unlock. And And then on top of that, the developers announced that there's a new cooperative score streaks are also new in the game, so you can actually team up with your friends to unlock even more items. And the customization doesn't stop there. They take it even a step further by actually allowing you to customize your soldier like you've never been able to do before. So you can basically customize every little detail of your soldier down to the gloves and goggles they wear. In fact, one of the Sledgehammer representatives at the press conference showed off his character. He was wearing 2 goggles, which is really cool. So you can see that you can get quite a bit of customization, and having a unique soldier is really not that difficult to do. Another thing that they showed off was the virtual lobby, which basically replaces the old dated lobby we've come to know over the years, where you just see someone's name and when they're talking. So the way the virtual lobby works is that you can actually cycle through people's names and actually see what their soldier looks like before the game starts. So it's sort of like a neat way to sort of put a name to the face, or put a face to the name. The developers also talked a bit about different game modes. So there'll be about a dozen game modes at launch, all of which will be augmented by the Exo gear. So those old returning modes like Team Deathmatch, Kill Confirmed, Team Capture the Flag, those will all be back, but then they'll be augmented by the Exo gear, which basically gives the new modes a different meaning and different way to play. There was also 2 new modes that were announced. One was called Momentum, which is just a new take on the old mode called War. They didn't really expand beyond that. And then the second mode, which was announced, which we got to play, was called Uplink, which basically involves 2 teams fighting over satellite drone, with each team trying to deploy the satellite in the opposing team's uplink. It's sort of like basketball for Call of Duty. It's a rather fun mode, and it was actually quite interesting. And then basically after the press conference was over, we got a chance to sit down and play a few matches. There was 4 maps that were available, but there was only 2 I got a chance to play. One was called Defender, which is basically set along a watery coast adjacent to an abandoned concrete bunker. So the level's rather interesting. It's divided into a lower portion, which basically is a beach that you can basically run around, and then there's a higher ground, which is basically has a number of concrete bunkers you can run through. And the thing that's really interesting about the map is that at any given time, there can be a tsunami warning system going off, basically warn you there's a huge tidal wave coming. And basically anything that's on the lower ground gets destroyed or killed by the tidal wave. So when you're outfitting your exosuits for this map, it's really important that maybe a boost is like an important ability you outfit yourself with. Another map we actually got to play was called Biolab, which was, I think we played Team Capture the Flag on that one. And basically, what that map is, it's basically a snow-covered engineering facility that has the actual inside spaces are pretty close quarters, so it's good for close quarters combat, while the outer edges of the level feature a lot of vertical platforms, so it's good for people using the exosuit. In addition to that, the Biolab also has a bunch of these explosive canisters, which are just like exploding barrels we've seen in tons of other games too, so you can use those to kill nearby enemies. So after spending about an hour with the multiplayer, it became apparent that at its core, Advanced Warfare is still a Call of Duty game, but the way you fight has been completely changed and altered by the exosuit. All those modes that we've become familiar with are still there, but they feel completely different when you play them with the exo abilities and suit. So I think as the developer stressed, that added level of verticality is something you really